Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into an absolutely mind-bending explainer on Dr. Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural. Our main goal here is to really unpack the core thesis of this book, which is the fascinating idea that our thoughts and emotions aren't just, fleeting experiences in our heads. They are actual biological signals that wire our brains and bodies. We're going to break down the exact frameworks the source material lays out so we can understand how you might actually program your own biology.
So let me just ask you this right up front. Can a single thought change your genetic expression? Honestly, it sounds a little like science fiction, right? But the book explores this really incredible intersection of neuroscience, epigenetics, and mysticism to answer with a resounding, undeniable yes. It makes the case that everyday, common people can do completely uncommon things simply by changing their internal state.
To really grasp this, we kind of need to look at Dispenza's own mindset first. The text explains that he had this huge epiphany early on in his career. He realized he was burning all this vital energy just trying to convince rigid skeptics that these phenomena were real. So he made a major pivot. He basically decided, actually, scratch that, and impartially abandon those efforts. Instead, he directed his focus entirely towards studying human potential, the supernatural, and sharing it with an audience that already believes in possibility.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Anna's Miraculous Healing, a case study of chronic stress and remarkable recovery.
Okay, so picture this timeline. Back in 2007, Anna's husband unexpectedly committed suicide. Obviously, the trauma was unimaginable. And according to the text, this severe emotional shock thrust her body into a constant 24/7 state of emergency. By 2008, things escalated. She was diagnosed with paralysis and an autoimmune disease. Then, in 2011, an esophageal cancer diagnosis. But then, and here's where it gets wild, after applying the exact meditative and neurological practices we're about to discuss, by 2013, she experienced a complete medical healing. No way, right? How does that even happen?
Well, that brings us to Section 2, the science of habit, and specifically, our addiction to survival mode.
To really understand Anna's rapid decline, we have to look at how the source material defines the mind. Simply put, the mind is the brain in action. When you perform a task, specific neural networks light up. If you repeat that task or keep dwelling on a specific thought, those neurons fire and wire together. This is absolutely crucial for understanding how our repetitive reactions and our familiar emotional traumas literally hardwire our physical neural architecture over time.
And this leads us straight into what the book calls the thinking-feeling loop. Imagine it like this. You have a stressful thought about a past event. Instantly, that thought signals your brain to release specific chemicals. Your body then registers a totally familiar feeling, say anxiety or dread. But once you feel that way, that very emotion drives you to create more thoughts equal to that feeling. The text explains that this loop essentially locks your entire state of being into a past event. Your body literally believes the trauma is happening right now, at this exact moment. Because of that continuous loop, the source makes a really bold assertion here. The body becomes literally addicted to the rush of stress hormones. Think about it. Humans are biologically built for short-term danger, right? A predator chases you, you escape, your body calms down. But chronic stress? The text argues this causes us to crave cortisol and adrenaline, just like a drug dependency. We actually end up relying on our external problems just to feel something familiar.
So, you're essentially existing in one of two distinct realities. The first is survival mode. This is driven by stress, adrenaline, and those frantic high-beta brainwaves, where your focus is completely fractured by past traumas or anxieties about the future. The alternative, though, is creation mode. This is where the text says true healing actually happens. It's characterized by elevated emotions like love and joy, the production of vital immune proteins, slower alpha and theta brainwaves, and a pure laser focus on the present moment.
Which moves us to Section 3, Epigenetics and the Body, Changing the Internal Environment.
Let's get super clear on the text's definition here. Epigenetics basically shows us that your genes are not just a set-in-stone destiny that inevitably creates disease. Instead, the environment signals the gene to alter its expression. And here is the real kicker. That environment actively includes your internal emotional state. If your internal environment is just flooded with stress, it downregulates healthy genes. But if you change your emotions, you literally instruct your genes to make new healthy proteins. It's like a biological software update.
Now check out this staggering data point from the book. 49.5%. That number represents the average increase in IgA,
which is this incredibly powerful immune system protein that acts as your body's primary internal defense. This data comes straight from a study conducted at one of Dispenza's workshops in Tacoma, Washington.
So how did everyday people achieve nearly a 50% jump in immune function? Well, the source notes that they changed their genetic expression in just 4 days simply by sustaining elevated emotions, things like joy and gratitude for 9 to 10 minutes, 3 times a day. That's it. By purely feeling these positive emotions, they convinced their bodies they were in a completely healthy, new environment, which signaled new genes to repair their biology.
This flows perfectly into Section 4, Mastering the Present Moment. Where attention goes, energy flows.
So how do we actually pull this off in our own lives? The text operates heavily on this core principle. If your focus is always on the outer world, your emails, your bank account, your past problems, your energy is totally fractured. You're siphoning away the exact creative power you need, which leads straight to a highly predictable future. But if you move your focus to the inner world, right into the present moment, you consolidate your energy. You basically call your power back, creating the space for completely unknown new possibilities.
To actively call that energy back, the text gives us some very clear, actionable steps. You literally must disconnect from the physical world through meditation, purposefully slowing your brainwaves down from stressed out high beta to calm alpha. You've got to stop anticipating that predictable future. The source says you have to completely forget your identity, your problems, and your schedule. You have to become nobody, nowhere, in no time. That is how you break the stubborn, energetic bonds of your past.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Shedding your old, predictable life and stepping into this void of no time and no identity, that sounds incredibly chaotic at first. Things might even feel like they're falling apart. But the author connects this directly back to us with this awesome quote: "The unknown has never let me down." Releasing the past is what creates the absolute, non-negotiable space for a brand new destiny to take root.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. The text asks this incredibly provocative question. If your past is creating your future, if you are currently trapped in that endless thinking, feeling loop,